Hey pre-calculus friends, here we are looking at example 2 from section 1.5. Let's get started. Have you ever made a purchase over the internet? Electronic commerce or e-commerce has changed the way Americans do business. In recent years, hundreds of companies that have no stores outside of the internet have opened. And we know this because we're all post-COVID and we understand the deal. So suppose you own shares in two internet stocks, bookseller.com and Webfinder. So we've got two stocks and you own shares. And if you guys understand, when you buy, each share has a cost. And so if you buy 20 shares, it would be 20 times the cost of that particular share. So you have two different types of shares, Bookseller and Webfinder. Let's use some variables for that just to keep things organized for a moment. So I'm going to call, let's say, Bookseller X and Webfinder Y. One day these stocks open at $94.50 and $133.60 per share respectively. They close prices that day at $103.95 and then $146.96 respectively. If your shares in these companies were valued at $5,347.30 at the beginning of the day, is it possible that the shares will be worth $5,882.03 at closing? Whoa, lots of information here, and this is something you want to really keep organized. So we've already established that X and Y are the number, not the value of the shares. If I said that earlier, my bad. They're the number of the shares that you purchased. We know that the value of the share in the morning, I'm going to highlight to keep things straightforward. So Bookseller, we're going to highlight. We know that's X number for Bookseller, and the value of one of those shares would be $94 and some change, and at the end of the day it's that. And then let's do the other one, Webfinder. The value initially is $133 and some change, and then finally it's $146. Okay, so we've got two equations that we're really thinking about here, and I want you guys to walk with me on this one. Remember, X is, let me define it. So X is the number of shares of Bookseller stock that you have, and Y is the number of shares of Webfinder. It is so important when you define your variables that you have the number of. It's always a number. So I don't know, again, if I said it incorrectly in the beginning, my bad. It's not the amount that the share costs, it's the number, because they've given us the amount. So how can we write an equation for the beginning of the day? So if we think about that, our equation for the beginning of the day would be something like this: $94.50 for X amount of shares plus $133.60 Y, because that's the two, you get it, right? And then that is equal to the amount of money we started off with, or the amount of money that our stock was valued in the morning, which is 5,000, see if I can write it in here, 347 and 30 cents. There we go. And then so now with that in mind, you guys recognize that we have, our stocks have increased during the day, yay. And what we want to know, is it possible that our shares could be worth this amount? And so the perspective equation that we're considering, we're seeing if this equation makes sense, is this next one. So it'll be $103.95 per stock of the Bookseller at the end of the day, and then $146.96 per stock for the Webfinder at the end of the day. And we want to see if it makes sense that it could equal $5,882.03. So this is what we're starting off with. Let's think about the concept behind it. So this kind of makes sense, but we want to see if an X and Y can satisfy this first equation, and then if the X and Y that same X and Y can satisfy this second equation, then we know that it's a possibility that this could be the amount of money we have at the end of the day. If you got to pause it to think about it, do that, because this is one of those complicated problems. So we're trying to find out if there's a common X and Y, and we haven't actually done this, but in a way we can use systems of linear equations and solve it. And I don't know about you, I'm thinking systems of linear equations, I want to solve this. We weren't asked to solve it though. We were asked, is there a solution? Is there an X and Y that satisfies both? Do we need to solve it in order to determine that? Well, the answer is maybe not. So let's see if we can figure out something. First thing I want to do is take a look at these equations and maybe put them in slope-intercept form, so I can kind of check out their slope, check out their y-intercepts, and see what I'm dealing with. So I'm going to do that. by grabbing these two equations down here and working it out, right? So I'm going to solve for y, get my y term on one side, everything else on the other side, and try to simplify. I'm probably going to use a calculator, to be honest, to simplify some of these decimals so it can make it look a little bit neater, okay? So here's where we've gotten ourselves, all right? We are looking at the, not the slope-intercept form. Yeah, we're looking at the slope-intercept form, yes. So we put it in slope-intercept form, then I grabbed a calculator and I figured out that my slope was this, negative 0.707333533, and I got the same slope here. So same slope means that they're either parallel or they're parallel and they coincide. And so we know that they actually coincide because they also have the same y-intercept. So the same slope, same y-intercept means it's the same line. Let's go back to the original question. Is there some xy that works for both of these equations? And the answer is yes. All xy's work for both of these equations. So we're in good spirits. We understand that yes, the answer to this is yes. You could start off with the initial situation and the financial situation where you've got $5,347 worth of shares, and then you end up with $5,882.03 worth of shares. All right. I hope that made sense, and I hope that helps you with your assignment. Take care, guys.